Hi, I am Ariel Beheth, and I've been a member of KCC since 2018. Since coming to KCC, I have watched Pastor and First Lady just expose me and everyone else to better. When I joined the church, I had a very dismal view of life. Everything was just kind of melancholy. I didn't have a lot of joy. I didn't have a good outlook on life at all. And so when I came here, I learned that there's an entire world that I have no idea about, and I need to do everything I can to learn how to function in this new world. And so that's really, that's been my journey since coming to KCC, is how do I walk and live in this life by faith the way that I see Pastor do it day in and day out. So in 2019, I was in the receiving line waiting to speak with Pastor, and he gave me specific instructions on what to do to get a house. And one of those instructions was to sign up with one of the Kingdom Property Group realtors. And so that evening, after speaking with Pastor, I signed up with her, and she took a look at my profile, everything that was in there, all of my credit, and we discovered that I had a lot of work to do. And so I spent the next 2 years just paying off credit debt that I had. And in March of 2021, that was accomplished. And on March 20th of 2021, I sowed a seed into Pastor. And he looked at me after I told him that I'd paid off all of my credit debt, and he pointed at me and he said, "Go get your house now." So in April of 2021, I went under contract for my house, and the process was extremely smooth. The home was being built, so there were lots of quiet moments where we didn't hear from anyone, and they just told us to kind of wait it out and let things be. And so it went really well until it was time to close. And so what happened was I made a misstep in the process, and when it came time to close, I no longer had all of the funds necessary to close the house. And so I repented, and I asked God, I said, if there's still a way to get this house, please make that known to me, please help me do so. And about an hour later, Pastor called, and he said, "This is your spiritual father talking. I want you to listen to these instructions, do exactly as I tell you, and everything will be just fine." And after that call, supernaturally, I received half of the funds needed to close. And then after that, the lending office, they started playing with numbers, and they reached out and they said, "Well, we have found a way to lower your closing costs from $10,000 to $987. And so a week later, I was able to close my house. So my mind was completely blown. My closing costs literally went from $10,000 plus to under $1,000, $987, which I think is unheard of. It is so supernatural that God was so gracious to me and so kind, and to realign me even after my misstep. During the time that the home was being built, and even up to closing, I never stopped sowing seeds. Pastor talked about bringing our seed bag, and he mentioned how he had $1,000 every night, and I so wanted to do that. And so one of the conferences, I made up in my mind that I was going to bring my seed bag, and I would sow $1,000 every night. And albeit sacrificially, it has paid off tremendously. For anyone who is believing God to buy a house, the first thing I would say is obey the man of God's instructions specifically. Don't veer to the right or the left. Do exactly what he says, when he says to do it. And as he told me, everything would be just fine. I think it's critical to obey, because the man of God can see farther than what we can see. I would also say, in the instance where there may be a misstep, to repent quickly and to be quick to be realigned. Regardless of what that looks like, be very quick to get realigned, so that God's grace can catch you up in that process. And lastly, never ever stop sowing seed. Regardless of what it looks like in that process, don't stop sowing seeds, because it does grow. The harvest does come eventually.